the voice you trust the most is the one holding you back. Let me tell you something. Most people never stop to question that voice in your head, the one you listen to every single day, the one that sounds calm, logical, even caring. That voice is not always on your side. You trust it because it's familiar. You trust it because it sounds like you. But what if the voice you trust the most is the very thing keeping you stuck? Think about it. Every time you want to step forward, that voice shows up. Not screaming, not panicking, just quietly whispering reasons. Reasons why now isn't the right time. Reasons why you should wait. Reasons why you're not ready yet. And because it sounds reasonable, you believe it. Because it sounds like common sense, you obey it. But here's the truth. That voice isn't speaking truth. It's protecting comfort. It's protecting habits. It's protecting the familiar version of your life, even if that version is slowly draining you. And the scary part is this, you don't even realize it's happening. You think you're being smart, careful, responsible, but underneath all that logic is fear, wearing a suit. How many times have you felt that pull to do more, be more, try something bigger, and then talked yourself out of it? Not because you couldn't, but because the voice told you not to. That's not intuition. That's resistance. And if you never challenge it, it will quietly decide the direction of your entire life. It sounds reasonable, that's why it's dangerous. The most dangerous lies aren't loud. They don't shout. They don't panic you. They sound calm. They sound mature. They sound responsible. They say things like, let's wait until things are perfect. Or, now's not the right moment. Or, you should be realistic. And that's why they work. Fear rarely shows up saying, I'm scared. It shows up saying, this makes sense. It hides behind logic. It hides behind planning. It hides behind caution. And the more intelligent you are, the better fear gets at convincing you. You've seen this everywhere. The person who keeps planning but never starts. The dream that's always one more step away. The goal that's constantly delayed because the timing isn't right. And every time, the excuse feels valid. It feels smart. But let me ask you this. How many times has that reasonable voice actually led you somewhere new? That voice will always find a reason. Always. If you wait for it to agree, you'll be waiting forever. Because its job isn't to move you forward. Its job is to keep you safe. And safe doesn't mean fulfilled. Safe doesn't mean proud. Safe just means unchanged. If you don't learn to question that voice, you will spend your life confusing comfort with wisdom. And that's a dangerous mistake. How many dreams did not now kill? Be honest with yourself. How many ideas did you have that never made it past your own mind? How many times did excitement turn into hesitation? How many dreams didn't fail, but slowly faded because you kept saying, not now? Not now feels harmless. It feels temporary. It feels like you're postponing, not quitting. But over time, not now becomes never. It never doesn't announce itself. It just quietly shows up years later as regret. Look at your own life. That thing you once cared deeply about. That goal you talked about nonstop. That version of you that was excited and hopeful. Where did it go? It didn't disappear overnight. It got delayed. Over and over again. Until one day, you stopped bringing it up at all. And the painful part is this. You didn't lose because you weren't capable. You lost because you listened to a voice that told you to wait instead of move. Ask yourself this. If not now, when? If not you, who? How long are you willing to keep negotiating with fear before you finally call it what it is? Every dream you delay doesn't just sit still, it weakens. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to believe again. That's the cost of not now. This isn't a comfort talk, it's a wake-up call. I'm not here to make you feel better about staying the same. I'm here to wake you up. Because comfort speeches don't change lives. Truth does. And the truth is, the voice in your head has been running the show for too long. This isn't about blaming yourself. It's about taking responsibility. Because once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Once you realize that the resistance you feel isn't a warning but a doorway, everything changes. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more inspiration. You need awareness. You need to stop assuming every thought deserves your obedience. Some thoughts need to be questioned. Some need to be challenged. Some need to be ignored. If you keep listening to the same voice, you'll keep getting the same results. And if you want a different life, it starts with deciding who's in control. Because the moment you stop letting fear dress up as logic is the moment you start taking your life back. Your mind was built to protect you, not fulfill you. Your mind is incredible. It keeps you alive. It helps you avoid danger. It learns patterns. It looks for shortcuts. That's what it was designed to do. Survival first, safety first, efficiency first. But here's the problem. You're no longer living in a world where survival is the main challenge. You're living in a world where growth is. And the same system that once kept humans alive now holds many people back. Your mind doesn't care if you reach your potential. It cares if you avoid pain. It cares if you stay within what's familiar. That's why it resists change, even when change is good. That's why it prefers comfort over progress. Think about it. Growth requires discomfort, risk, uncertainty, and your mind sees all of that as a threat. So it steps in and says, let's not do that. Not because it's bad for you, but because it's unfamiliar. Protection is not the same as fulfillment. And if you let a survival-based system run a growth-based life, you will always feel stuck, an old safety system in a new world. Your mind is like an old alarm system that goes off, even when there's no real danger. It was trained in a different environment, one where mistakes could be fatal, one where standing out could be risky. But today, the danger isn't trying and failing. The danger is never trying at all. Still, your mind reacts the same way. New opportunity? Alarm. Big goal? Alarm. Change routine? Alarm. And because the alarm feels intense, you assume it must be important. But intensity doesn't equal truth. Most of the time, what your mind calls danger is just discomfort. And discomfort is the price of growth. If you treat every uncomfortable feeling like a stop sign, you'll never move forward. You didn't choose these beliefs, you inherited them. Many of the limits you believe in aren't even yours. They came from what you heard growing up, what you watched others struggle with, what society rewarded and punished. Maybe you were taught to play it safe. Maybe you saw someone fail and decided never to try. Maybe you learned that dreaming big leads to disappointment. Over time, those lessons became beliefs, and those beliefs became your inner voice. But just because you learned something early doesn't mean it's true. And just because a belief feels familiar doesn't mean it's right. You can unlearn what no longer serves you. But first, you have to recognize it. Just because it feels true doesn't mean it is. This is where everything shifts. Feelings are powerful, but they are not facts. Familiar thoughts feel true because you repeated them, not because they're accurate. If you don't challenge what feels true, you'll spend your life trapped by habits of thought you never chose. And once you see that, you get a choice. Keep believing every thought or start questioning the ones that hold you back. That's where real change begins. You're not ready, you're just scared. Let me tell you something you might not want to hear, but you need to. Most people who say they're not ready aren't waiting on skills, money, or timing. They're waiting for fear to disappear, and that day never comes. Fear doesn't leave before you act. It moves after you do. Readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. Think about the first time you did anything meaningful. Your first job, your first big step, your first risk. Were you ready then, or did you move while your hands were shaking? Growth has never required confidence first. It has always required courage first. Confidence shows up later. Your mind tells you you need more preparation, more clarity, more time. But what it's really saying is, if you don't move, you can't fail. And that sounds safe, but safe is not strong. Safe is not proud. Safe is not progress. If you wait until fear is gone, you will wait forever. The people you admire didn't feel ready. They felt afraid and moved anyway. That's the difference. Not talent, not luck, decision. Time is not on your side, it's slipping away. One of the most dangerous lies your mind tells you is that you have plenty of time. Not in a dramatic way, in a quiet way, in a way that makes delay feel harmless. I'll start next month. I'll do it next year. I'll focus on it when things slow down. But time doesn't slow down. It speeds up. You don't feel time passing day to day. You feel it when you look back and realize how fast years disappeared. Ask anyone who waited too long. They don't regret trying and failing. They regret waiting and never starting. Every day you delay, life keeps moving without your permission. Opportunities don't wait for comfort. Energy doesn't stay the same. And the window you think will always be open slowly starts to close. This isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Time is valuable because it's limited. And if you don't treat today like it matters, one day you'll wish you had. Comparison is a trap disguised as motivation. Your mind loves to compare. It tells you to look around and measure yourself against everyone else. Who's ahead? Who's younger? Who's doing better? And it pretends this comparison will push you forward. But most of the time, it does the opposite. Comparison doesn't inspire action. It drains confidence. You only see other people's highlights, not their struggle. You see their results, not their years of doubt. And your mind uses that incomplete picture to tell you a complete lie. You're behind. You missed your chance. What's the point now? Here's the truth. There is no universal timeline. There is no race. The only person you're competing with is the version of you that keeps hesitating. Every person you admire once felt unseen, once felt late, once felt unsure. They didn't win because they were ahead. They won because they kept going. This is not who you are, it's what you've repeated. One of the most limiting things your mind tells you is, this is just how I am. As if habits are personality, as if patterns are permanent, as if repetition equals identity. But who you are is not what you've done, it's what you choose to keep doing. You weren't born doubting yourself. You learned it. You weren't born avoiding discomfort. You practiced it. And anything learned can be unlearned, but only if you stop defending it. Change feels uncomfortable not because it's wrong, but because it's unfamiliar. Your mind resists it and calls it identity. But identity is flexible. It's shaped by actions, not labels. You are not stuck. You are practiced. And practice can change. Failure isn't the end. Quitting is. Failure gets a bad reputation. But failure isn't what ends dreams. Quitting does. Failure is feedback. It's information. It's proof you tried. Every meaningful success story includes failure. Missed shots, rejections, wrong turns. The difference is not that they avoided failure, it's that they didn't let failure define them. Your mind says, if you fail, it means something about you. But that's a lie. It means you showed up. And showing up is the only way forward. The only real loss is stopping. Everything else is part of the process. The damage you don't see is the most dangerous. The most harmful effects of believing the lie aren't loud. They don't show up all at once. They show up slowly, quietly, in missed chances, in lower standards, in dreams you stop talking about. You don't wake up one day and feel defeated. You wake up one day and realize you settled. The damage isn't always visible, but it's always real. Confidence erodes. Energy fades. Belief weakens. And because it happens gradually, you normalize it. But just because you've gotten used to it doesn't mean it's okay. The slow loss of belief is still a loss, and it costs more than you think. Comfort today becomes regret tomorrow. Comfort feels good now. That's why it's tempting. But comfort has a price, and it always sends the bill later. Avoiding discomfort today doesn't remove pain, it delays it. And delayed pain is heavier. It shows up as regret, as what if, as wishing you had pushed when you had the chance. Discomfort is temporary, regret is long-term. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you trade a short moment of ease for a long season of disappointment. That's not a fair trade. And deep down, you know it. Brick by brick, you're building your own wall. Every lie you believe becomes a brick. Every excuse adds another layer. Over time, you build a wall between who you are and who you could be. And the hardest part, you built it yourself. But that also means you can tear it down. One decision at a time, one action at a time, one honest moment at a time. Walls aren't removed all at once. They're removed brick by brick. The same way they were built, you already know what this is costing you. You don't need more proof. You don't need more examples. You feel it. The quiet frustration, the sense that you're capable of more. That feeling isn't guilt, it's awareness. And awareness is the start of change. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. You are the listener, not the voice. Here's a powerful shift. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who hears them. Thoughts show up automatically, but obedience is optional. Just because a thought appears doesn't mean it deserves control. When you realize you can observe a thought instead of obey it, you take your power back. You stop reacting and start choosing. That's the moment everything changes. Thoughts pass, you decide what stays. Thoughts are like weather. They come and go. Some are loud, some are dark, but none of them are permanent unless you cling to them. You don't fight weather, you wait it out. You move through it and you keep going. You don't need to eliminate negative thoughts. You need to stop building homes for them. Question the thought before it commands you. Before a thought becomes a decision, question it. Ask where it came from. Ask what evidence supports it. Ask who benefits if you believe it. Most thoughts collapse under simple questions. They survive only when unchallenged. You don't have to believe everything you think. You have to think about what you believe. Belief is a choice you're making every day. Belief isn't a feeling, it's a habit, built through repetition, strengthened by action. Every day, you choose what to believe through what you do, and those choices shape your life. If you want a different future, start choosing differently now. You don't delete thoughts, you replace them. Let me tell you something important. You can't stop thoughts from showing up. That's not how the mind works. Thoughts appear automatically, often without permission. Trying to erase them is like trying to stop the ocean from making waves. It's exhausting and it never works. But here's the power you do have. You can choose what replaces them. When a negative thought shows up and you leave it unchallenged, it settles in. It gets comfortable. It starts to sound like truth. But when you interrupt it with a stronger thought, something changes. The old thought loses its grip. Not instantly, but gradually, just like habits. Think about someone trying to quit a bad habit. They don't just stop doing it and leave a gap. They replace it with something else. The same rule applies here. If you remove a weak thought without replacing it, your mind will go back to what it knows. But if you install a stronger one, repetition takes over. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing a better response. When the thought says, I can't do this, you don't fight it with silence. You replace it with, I'll learn how. Replacement is how change sticks. The words you repeat become the life you live. Words are not just sounds. They are instructions. Every sentence you repeat to yourself is shaping how you see the world and how you act in it. Words are seeds. What you plant is what you harvest. If you keep planting words like, I'm bad at this, I always mess up, this is too hard, don't be surprised when discouragement grows. That's not bad luck. That's cause and effect. On the other hand, when you plant words like, I'm learning, I'll figure this out, this is uncomfortable, but I can handle it, you grow resilience. Look at any successful person, not just famous ones. Anyone who stayed consistent through difficulty. They didn't talk themselves out of action every day. They learned how to speak to themselves with strength instead of defeat. Your inner language becomes your outer reality. Over time, the words you repeat decide the actions you take, the risks you avoid, and the effort you give. Change the words and you change the direction. Not overnight, but steadily. And steadily is enough. Stronger words create stronger actions. Action follows language, always. If your inner voice is weak, your actions will be hesitant. If your inner voice is strong, your actions will reflect it. This doesn't mean hype, it means clarity. Instead of saying, I hope I can, you say, I'll try. Instead of, I'm terrible at this, you say, I'm improving. Instead of, this is impossible, you say, this is hard, and I'm still going. These aren't empty phrases. They're instructions to your nervous system. They tell your body how to respond. One leads to shutdown, the other leads to movement. Think about athletes, performers, leaders. They don't wait to feel confident before they act. They speak confidence into action, and action reinforces belief. It's a loop. Stronger words lead to stronger actions. Stronger actions lead to stronger belief. You don't need perfect words. You need better ones. Words that move you forward instead of holding you back. Identity is built daily, not declared once. You don't become someone new by saying it once. You become someone new by showing up differently every day. Identity is not a statement, it's a pattern. People say things like, this is who I am now, but nothing changes until behavior changes. And behavior changes through repetition, daily choices, small decisions, unseen effort. Think about trust. You don't earn it with one promise. You earn it with consistency. The same is true with identity. You prove who you are through what you do repeatedly, especially when it's inconvenient. Be patient with yourself. Real change is quiet at first, but discipline compounds. Every time you act in alignment with who you want to become, you cast a vote for that identity. And eventually, the votes add up. Stop waiting to feel ready that day isn't coming. Let me be clear. Readiness is not something you feel. It's something you create by moving. If you wait to feel ready, you will stay exactly where you are. Everyone who ever did something meaningful felt uncertain at the start. The business owner, the athlete, the artist, the leader. They didn't feel ready. They felt nervous. They felt exposed. They felt unsure. And they moved anyway. Your mind tells you readiness comes first. That's a lie. Action comes first. Readiness follows. The moment you accept that you will never feel fully prepared is the moment you stop stalling. Progress begins when you decide to move despite discomfort. Feelings change, commitments don't. Feelings are unreliable. They shift with sleep, stress, weather, and mood. If you let feelings decide your actions, your life will be inconsistent. Commitments are different. Commitments don't ask how you feel. They remind you what you decided. And that's where discipline lives. You won't always feel motivated. You won't always feel confident. But if you commit to showing up, progress continues even on low days. That's how momentum is protected. Feelings are passengers. You're the driver. Don't give the wheel to something that changes every hour. Momentum is built by small, ugly steps. Momentum doesn't come from perfect plans. It comes from imperfect action. Small steps, awkward steps, steps that don't look impressive. People get stuck waiting for a big breakthrough when what they need is consistent movement. One email, one workout, one page, one attempt. Those small steps add up. They create rhythm, and rhythm creates momentum. Momentum changes how you feel, how you think, and how you act. You don't need to do everything today. You need to do something. Move anyway. Show up anyway. This is the moment where excuses usually win, where the mind says tomorrow, and tomorrow quietly becomes never. So hear this clearly. Move anyway. Show up anyway. Act before your mind agrees. You don't need permission from fear. You need commitment to your future. Every time you move despite resistance, you weaken the lie and strengthen yourself. Your mind lies, but you decide who's in charge. Your mind will always offer opinions, suggestions, warnings, but it doesn't get the final vote unless you give it one. You decide who leads. The voice of fear or the voice of intention. The habit of avoidance or the discipline of action. This isn't about silencing the mind. It's about leading it. Strong leaders don't wait for silence. They move through noise. You are not broken and you are not behind. You're not damaged. You're not late. You're not missing something everyone else has. You're human. You learn habits that once protected you, and now you're learning new ones. Progress doesn't require a perfect past. It requires a decided present. Stop judging yourself for what you didn't know before. Use what you know now. Lead the mind or live at its mercy. If you don't control the voice, it will control you. If you don't choose your thoughts, they'll choose your direction. Leadership starts internally with awareness, with discipline, with action. The moment you stop believing the lie, everything changes. Not tomorrow, not someday. The moment you stop believing the lie and start moving anyway, your life shifts. That moment is available right now.